Not too long ago from the recording of this video, we had an Amazon AWS outage that occurred due to a DynamoDB misconfiguration or something along the lines related to that caused an outage for other platform services, toolage, applications, and etc. Well, the week after that, we have another outage, but it's not Amazon. It's with Microsoft. Stay tuned. So I'm gonna make this real quick, mainly because I just got in. I did not have plans to do a filming session today, and this is going to be eating into my schedule. For anybody who doesn't have a life and stays on Twitter, I'm not calling Twitter X. At best, I'll call it Twitter X. You could go over to the Azure support profile page. I don't even know what Twitter calls these things anymore. And you can see that at the very top that is currently pinned, we actually have the message that caution sign, engineers are aware of an ongoing issue impacting a subset of Azure services and we are now observing recovery. More information and emerging updates can be found on the Azure status page, and they have a link over at a shortened Microsoft link, or Microsoft short link, however you want to brand it. But that's not so whoop-de-doo, right? We have a bunch of outages. We'll cover what is actually impacted by this outage that is actually significant in a moment, but I just want to reiterate that again, we're probably going to see more of these types of outages going into the new year and probably for a little bit. Due to the whole movement towards AI, a lot of companies and corporations have laid off a lot of individuals and has created a type of market that makes them, or makes the worker, the engineer, not feel too confident in their place of work, keeping them, you know, and with that, keeping things running. As AI continues to miss the mark in so many crucial aspects, it has its place, don't get me wrong, but it still misses the mark in many of the crucial aspects. A lot of places are finding that they need the well-skilled engineering capabilities of the people that kept the lights on. Now, I'm gonna get off my soapbox and we're gonna, well, I'm putting it to the side because I'm gonna get right back on it in a short minute, but we're gonna go ahead and look at some of the reportings from AP News out of New York about some of the impact that we've seen from the Azure outage already. So according to AP News, we have the Microsoft deploys a fix to Azure Cloud Service that's hit with outage. We saw that in the tweet, you know, it says that they're observing the recovery. So they're on the mend currently as we speak at the time of recording this video, which is October 29th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'm in Georgia. Hope everyone who's impacted by the hurricane is safe, by the way, but I digress. The main impact that we're seeing, aside from like certain social media sites and aspects of certain applications, what really is crucial is airlines. We have two primary airlines currently. That's Alaska Airline as well as the Air New Zealand. They've both come out stating that they have core system issues due to the outage related to the Azure cloud services going kaput. And again, Microsoft Azure is touting this as a misconfiguration that caused the outage. Now, you remember my assumption when it came to the Amazon AWS outage is most likely due to someone misconfiguring something on the DNS side of the DynamoDB, because they stated DynamoDB DNS issue, but they don't really say exactly what happened or exactly what triggered it. Usually it's someone being rushed to do something and makes a tiny mistake and it creates a chain reaction. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing here. So let's first go take a look at Alaska Airlines' Twitter page. Let's see. Due to a global outage impacting the Microsoft Azure platform, where several Alaska and Hawaiian airline services are hosted, we are currently experiencing a disruption to key systems, including our websites. For our guests who are unable to check in online due to Microsoft Azure outage, I like that, by the way, I'm gonna circle back to that. Please see an agent at the airport for boarding pass and allow for some extra time in the lobby. We apologize for the inconvenience and appreciate your patience as we navigate this issue. So, very well-formed message from Alaska Airlines, and what I really like is how they are cordial yet direct in making sure that the blame is identified and announced. So it says, hey, for our guests who are unable to check in online due to Microsoft Azure outage. That's basically them saying, no. Don't come to us. It's not our fault. It's not our problem. This is Microsoft Azure's problem. They did this. They caused this. I don't fully agree. Yes, Microsoft Azure is the core component as to what caused the outage. But as I've been ranting and ranting and raving and ranting and raving and ranting and ranting and ranting a lot lately on these most recent videos, it's also about how you set up your own infrastructure. In the same way that, well, I don't think the 8 Sleep video is out yet since this is taking priority. This will make sense later. We have to stop allowing systems and architect designs to make your application or your service or your systems or whatever solely dependent on someone else's infrastructure. Now, I get it, right? The idea of being able to shirk some blame and responsibility off to someone else, because if, say, Alaska Airlines had their core systems go out that they ran on their servers in their locations or whatever their infrastructure for their IT looks like, if that went down, then they're taking on full blame. And with this, they can kind of shirk off to Microsoft Azure. The problem with that is, if you're providing a service or a business or some type of product, it doesn't really kind of matter if it's somebody else's fault. The issue is I can't use your service, so my irritation is still going to be directed at you. And no matter how you spin it, yeah, okay, Microsoft had an issue. Now, what happens if Delta Airlines decides not to have their core features or their core systems hosted on someone else's infrastructure and they self-host their core systems on their own things, and then they can go, hey, we're not affected by the outage, and vice versa, right? If Delta systems go out one day, it's their fault, but someone else who's running Azure systems is still going on, then they'll say, well, because we use Azure, we're still running. Cut through the marketing, cut through the BS. You want to have your systems designed for high availability and basically a fallback backup system structure. You want multiple deployments in different regions, potentially in different platforms altogether. That's how you keep your stuff safe or running or operational. In the same way as a hospital has backup generators for when the power goes out, you probably want to have backup deployments in case you have an outage for your systems, generally speaking. But also, like, I just don't think it's a good idea to have your core systems running completely on someone else's infrastructure. A few other people actually agree. On the AP news site, in the comment section for this particular article, we can actually see that Cauldron Weller has a comment. Remember, the cloud is just other people's computers. If you have your own computer, then you probably do not need the cloud. Keep your critical stuff stored and backed up locally so it's there when you need it. To be fair, there is a discussion that's actually breaking off from this, and it states from Alan, I wish we still could do that, but our software is on the cloud and we have no choice. Blackbaud financial software went down. Also for companies, the cost of running and maintaining servers have gone up as Microsoft et al. Push their cloud services rather than hardware software. Some people have no choice but to be on the cloud. Did we see this coming? You betcha. Was there anything we could do about it? Nope. Cauldron replies back, that's valid. My comment was more geared towards personal use stuff, but you're right to the point out the businesses have different needs. I still kind of disagree. If you have seen the path of the arc that a lot of the cloud services have taken over the last almost a decade, it might have been a decade, but generally speaking, it's closer to about 7 to 8, right? Or maybe actually closer to 5. We've seen a lot of businesses actually start pulling back from full-on public cloud. As a matter of fact, hybrid cloud solutions have become far more popular, but we've seen some companies actually push further even by going back to private, not fully, but primarily because they understand having some of your more core important software features, data, whatever, on something that you have full hands-on and control of has a lot of benefits. Public cloud has its benefits, hybrid cloud has its benefits, but a lot of people thought, oh, we can just abandon our private on-prem cloud structure. Nah, you just no. Now, I am being super surface level with this. Again, just as Alan pointed out, there are certain constraints that just forces certain types of needs for a certain type of infrastructure. But I would argue, I think that we potentially need to just dive in and explore alternate solutions that also keeps on-prem infrastructure in mind. I think that the public cloud and then later the hybrid cloud model was just so heavily pushed by these giant obelisks. Google with Google Cloud Platform, Amazon with AWS, Microsoft with Azure. All of these big marketing giants, these big corporations, these big
oligarchies.
Let's not go there. Basically, gave you a little piece of a narcotic, got you hooked, and then fed you all of these promises of perfection. Now, again, they have their strengths. They have their strong points. They have their place. But my goodness, if you think on-prem is just completely useless or doesn't have a place at all, simply being a high available backup source could have saved a lot of time and effort with this. However, before we wrap up entirely, let's head on over to the Azure status page to actually get a look at what Microsoft had to say about this. So, it says Azure front door connectivity issues, observing recovery. That is the most recent update to this. I'm gonna have my eyes on this, so when everything is back running, I want the full breakdown about what occurred and see how much information they're actually gonna fully release. But what we know currently is starting at approximately 1600 hours UTC on the 29th of October 2025, customers and Microsoft services leveraging Azure Front Door, AFD, may experience latencies, timeouts, and errors. We have confirmed that an inadvertent configuration change was the trigger event for this issue. Affected Azure services include, but are not limited to, App Service, Azure Active Directory, B2C, Azure Communication Services, Azure Databricks, Azure Healthcare APIs, Azure Maps, Azure Portal, Azure SQL Database, Container Registry, Media Services, Microsoft Defender External Attack Surface Management, Microsoft Entra ID, Microsoft Purview, Microsoft Sentinel, Video Indexer, and Virtual Desktop. If these side effects continue, please see a doctor. Current status. We initiated the deployment of our last known good configuration, meaning they're doing like a recovery, a rollback, which has now successfully been completed. We are currently recovering nodes and rerouting traffic through healthy nodes. As recovery progresses, some requests may still land on unhealthy nodes, resulting in intermittent failures or reduced availability until more nodes are fully restored. This recovery effort involves reloading configurations and rebalancing traffic across a large volume of nodes to restore full operational scale. The process is gradual by design, ensuring stability and preventing overload of dependent services recover, or as dependent services recover, excuse me. We expect continued improvement across affected regions. This means we expect recovery to happen by 23:20 UTC on 29th October 2025. Customer configuration changes remain temporarily blocked and prevent new deployment. It refreshes every so few minutes. Customer configuration changes remain temporarily blocked to prevent new deployments and could interfere with recovery. We will notify customers once this block has been lifted. Customers can fail over to origins if they decide to. Some customers may also experience or have experienced accessing the Azure Management Portal. We have failed the portal away from AFD to mitigate these access issues. Customers should now be able to access the Azure portal directly, and while most portal extensions are functioning as expected, a small number of endpoints, exempli gratis, that's what EG stands for if I'm not mistaken, it's Latin, marketplace, may still experience intermittent loading problems. We will provide another update on our progress within 2 hours or sooner if warranted. Although we are seeing signs of recovery, customers may also consider implementing existing failover strategies using Azure Traffic Manager to redirect traffic from Azure Front Door to their origin servers as an interim measure. You can go to learn.microsoft.com/azure/frontdoor/routing-methods for more information for that. This message was last updated, while we record this video, at 21:12 UTC on the 29th of October, 2025. Okay. After I just vomited a bunch of words at you, I have to now give Microsoft their credit. You have an outage, you pick up on it, you listen, you go directly into, let me put the big boy pants on and get this fixed. It sounds like they're doing everything that they can to mitigate the problems as much as possible while actually taking care of their customers and their clients. Now, this is going to impact, yet again, a lot of businesses, a lot of different services, strategies, and etc. in important situations like freaking airports. Now, this is why personally, again, I think you need to have a core basis of your systems, as especially like your core sensitive data kept on-prem. That's just me. I don't think you should run the risk of having various different types of sensitive data stored in someone else's safe. You know, that's just me. And one more thing. I actually forgot this during the initial recording of the video. The Microsoft Azure outage actually occurred literally right before they were doing their announcement of their quarterly earnings report. So I'm actually, as a matter of fact, let's go look at Microsoft stocks. We're going to use finance.yahoo.com as our source for the stock information. Personally, I like to use Fidelity, but I'm not going to bring up Fidelity at the moment. Okay, so let's take a look real quick. So we can see that during today, we did see a pretty steep decline, or a gradual decline, excuse me, and then a massive hit here at 4 p.m. Eastern, okay? I think this massive dip here is probably due to the outage. Because, well, it might be the outage as well as their earnings report. Because did they actually deliver the report yet? Yeah, okay, yeah, we're seeing it from a Yahoo Finance video. The stock slide post earnings as it reflects a fickle market. Okay. Microsoft reported a strong Q3 earnings with revenue reaching 77 billion, or you can probably say 78 if you want to round up, driven by a 40% growth in its Azure cloud services. Ironic. Despite beating expectations, shares fell by 2% in after hours trading amid concerns over high AI spending, which totaled 35 billion this quarter. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I need to reach out to Lewis, and we need to start figuring out the scheduling for After Dark Season 4, because a lot is going on, and I really want to have his input given in the moment, because I don't know if I have to remind you all, Lewis majored or had a concentration in artificial intelligence. There's also one more contact that I would not mind bringing in for a few conversations every now and then. They're currently going through a master's program as they dive deep into a concentration around machine learning, artificial intelligence, and LLMs in general. So that's it for this cut-in. I'm gonna go back to wherever the original video needs to, occur. But I don't run those companies. I don't run those products. I don't run that software. I don't run Microsoft. I don't run Azure. At the end of the day, this is another outage. Let's just see if Google Cloud Platforms is going to have an outage before the end of the year, and that way we can have tic-tac-toe, X across the board. We'll see. Anyway, I've been Zane Zonkami Blaylock. I'm tired. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and get to editing. I'll see you all in the next one, but until then, as always, take care.